Hey guys, I'm going to send you all a couple of Google Docs about Steven Spielberg. So we are starting today. We are kind of ending our e-learning with a nice 11-day stretch. And I've got lots of stuff planned for us. I'm not really sure how any or all of it is going to work. I'm really just doing my best here. I can tell you though that Schindler's List is a big deal. It's a really, really big deal to me. It is the biggest deal of my entire semester class. And I've even made some changes lately where we just got a chance to do it for the first time last semester, where we watched it in one sitting. I actually did it like a field trip. So that's what y'all are missing out on, because I had the Marshall Center already getting ready to reserve it, and we were going to be watching it as a field trip in-house, all together, one shot, instead of watching 20, 30 minutes of it, 40 minutes of it. It takes forever. It's a 3-hour and 20-minute movie. So I hated chopping it up, and I finally got approval from Miss Straight before she left, and we, don't get to do it. So I'm not really thrilled about that. I'm not sure how it's going to work this way, but I will do my best, But first we have to start with Spielberg, because you can't really talk about Schindler's List until you've talked about Steven Spielberg. So I'm going to send you some stuff about him, and you're going to have a small response that I'm going to ask for, which will be one of our actual grades for this fourth quarter. I often refer to Steven Spielberg as the super Jew, and I mean him zero disrespect. I don't mean that to sound like I'm being anti-Semitic when I say that. I mean it literally. That man is unbelievable. And I, being the age that I am, I was raised in the 70s and 80s. Let me just tell you, we couldn't escape Steven Spielberg if we tried. So many of his movies came out during our young youth, and they made us who we are today. I'm telling you right now, I'm a product of Steven Spielberg. The movie Jaws came out the summer after I turned 6 years old, and my mother and father took us to see it. So I was scared to death of sharks. I wouldn't even swim in the pool. I was petrified for years, but I loved it. Oh my gosh, I was completely hooked. 2 years later, he came out with Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It was the first alien encounter ever on screen, and it was just so phenomenal. I can't even tell you. And and then you move into your Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Raiders of the Lost Ark came out when I was 12. Okay, so I was all about it. Movies were a lot different back then than they are now. Of course, he did The Color Purple. The Color Purple came out after my sophomore year of high school. It was so meaningful to me. It's crazy. We have Jurassic Park, the original Jurassic Park, the really good one, came out in 1993, right before I had my first child. And so both my kids were like huge dinosaur fans, and I've seen Jurassic Park about 100 times because of that. You got your, Saving Private Ryan. I mean, there's just it just goes on and on. I mean, you have Hook, which is a really funny movie about Peter Pan, starring Robin Williams. I mean, it goes on. And I'm actually sending you a doc that has the movies that some of his biggest hits is what I call them. But Spielberg himself, some things you need to know about him will come in the little biographical notes that I send you. Basically, you need to know, first off, he's not a Holocaust survivor. He wasn't even born until after the war. He was born not far from here, in Cincinnati, Ohio. It's like an hour and 20 minutes away. But he was born in 1946, so he was born right after the war, within a year of the war ending. And so he is Jewish, definitely, and he was raised around a lot of other Jewish people, including Holocaust survivors. But he is just a phenomenal man, director. Just really a lot of cool facts about him that I'm going to send you guys. And one of the best things that I'm going to send you is about the profits from the movie Schindler's List, because when he made that movie, it was life-changing for him. Period. It was his life's work, even after doing all those movies I just mentioned. And by the way, I forgot to mention E.T., because E.T. was another one of those movies that, there you go, it came out in 1982 when I was 13. Okay, blew me away. But anyway, of all the great movies that he made before he came to Schindler's List, it was his masterpiece. It just was, and it was his life's work. And there's some really neat, I mean, I could teach a 6-week course in just Schindler's List. I really could. I'm a complete font of wisdom about it. I actually saw the movie 3 times while it was in the theater. Now, we're talking about long before I started teaching a class on the Holocaust. I saw it 3 times in the theater. It's 3 hours and 20 minutes long. If you want to do the math, boy, that's simple math. I spent 10 hours in the theater watching Schindler's List. It's that good. It's the movie I've seen more than any other movie on this earth. In my 50 years of living, it's the movie I've seen more than any other movie. And when I went last year to Krakow, Poland, of course, I had the distinct pleasure of going to see Auschwitz and seeing that from my own eyes and burrowing that deep into my heart. But the other thing that was so special to me was Krakow, Poland is where Schindler's List was filmed. And I actually stood in some of the places right where scenes in that iconic movie were made. And it made my skin, I mean, I literally had goosebumps. It was such a cool experience for me. And anyway, I'm going to do my best to bring you the movie in a way that is meaningful to you. It's not the same. I really wish that we were together because I have so many cool things to say about it, and I'm not going to be able to do that. But I will rent the movie and I will bring it to you. So at least you'll get to see it. And it's definitely worth watching. So check out my docs that I am sharing with you regarding Steven Spielberg. And then there is a small assignment that I want you to send my way. And then after that, starting next week on Monday, we will we need to meet some more characters. There is some more background information, but then we will be doing the movie actually next week. Okay? Talk to y'all soon.